cloud. Okay. Guess what? Now we'll see if we'll get going on this thing. First of all, let me do a quick on this. There we go. And I got one more thing to do because of the recording. I'm going to hide the side panel. Okay, now, I think we're kind of ready to go. All of this is, Larry asked me to cover this on scratch building a car. And what I'm going to be talking about is a Denver Rio Grande stock car. Well, hello there. And I go through a couple of these things just out of curiosity to see what it is. This is kind of the background. What the motivation for me to build a car is the achievement program. It's part of the Master Builder series, in this case, the Master Builder cars. What I'm going to talk about, and this is the old classical old thing, tell you what I'm going to tell you, and then tell you what I told you. So what we're going to talk about is just some of the background stuff that I went through to get to it, how I part of the stuff on building it, some of the little details on it, and some final steps. Now, just for you guys here in the audience, there's the car right there. It is not finished, so there's some blanks in the presentation because I figure I may use this later on. But we'll talk about some of the stuff, and there's some cute little things that go on with that.
Bob,
Yeah,
all I see is a square that says background and some other words.
No picture.
No picture.
no, well, you're not going to see a picture of the car.
I don't see anything but this one square that says what I'm supposed to be seeing.
What you're seeing is the PowerPoint, okay?
Okay.
Don't worry about that. We're
I
going to
got
get to it. We'll be able to see it.
Okay.
What you're just seeing is the PowerPoint,
All righty.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And where this came from is because I was doing some research on the Denver Rio Grande Western for the gondola car that I originally ran and took to Pittsburgh here a while back. And I discovered these stock car pictures. And this is some of the pictures. This is it. Correct me if I'm wrong for the pronunciation. Arboles, Colorado. The car I'm building is the one on the right, stock car 5727. This is the situation of what they look like at that time. This is a little bit scattered, but after the Arboles restoration, this is what the car looked like. And this is the right side. Now, I had an interesting piece that I'll talk about. You notice where the statistics panel is on the right side and the second panel in. I'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll get into some interesting stuff on that. This is the left side after the Arboles or during the Arboles renovation. And notice it doesn't have hardly any of the lettering stuff, none of the statistics on it or anything else. But I had to dig this picture out. This one was, I don't have any source on, oh yeah, this one is Niederauer as well. This is the car at Silverton, Colorado, after they did the restoration. And now we're seeing, you notice that statistics panel is down on the third panel in from the end, or the one right next to the door. Also, it looks like it has some weathering that goes on to it. We'll come back to this picture a couple of more times because this is one I'm using as a lot of the detail on the thing. Okay, some of the background about the restoration.
They did see those pictures, right?
I'm sorry?
They did see those pictures, right?
Yeah, they see what you see up here on this. Okay. Background of restoration, the Durango Railroad Historical Society formed a fund which purchased both the double deck car and the double deck stock car and the single deck stock car. It was bought apparently by the Durango and Silverton. And then they did. Then they took this to whatever, Animas Valley. This is the stock car restoration, was completed in October of 2016. And both cars, in this case, you saw those in that original picture. The 5564 was a double deck, and then the 5627 is a single. Big piece of this whole thing is this bottom line. When they were finished, they were moved to Silverton, and this included replacing some door hardware and lettering on both cars. I found another thing too. It was kind of interesting. I'll point out too as on a grab iron as we get on down further. Anyhow, so again, we're talking about scratch building, so I'm going to talk about what I use to do it, and we'll kind of go through these. When we get down to the last one, there ain't nothing there because I ain't got that done yet, but we'll get through a couple of the other ones. Okay, here are pretty much the tools that he used. Optivisor, because ages sucks. Use that all the time. Some wire cutters. Pretty obvious. Tweezers. I use a digital micrometer a lot. Then the drill set with both the pencil drill or the hand drill. And then I think in this one I've got some of the Tichy grab iron pieces. Some of the other tools that I use are this little Dremel tool, which is really handy. Goes down very nicely, goes down to a number 80 drill, which I don't use a number 80 drill all of the time, but I've used it several times. There was another, I'll talk about another drill that I've got in there too later on. Toothpicks, lot, because this is wood. So I'm using a lot of wood glue, and toothpicks are very good for applicator. Put a dot down and use it. X-Acto knife, a couple of little angle irons, razor blade, that kind of a thing. Materials, a lot of stock of wood. That thing in the middle is a piece of stock roof. It's HO. It's not HON3, but it's HO. Then I got a lot of Tichy parts along with some of the Tichy wiring, which is used in the underframe. A lot of decals, both microscale. Let me see, there's a Tichy, I use some Tichy things. I've got some Champ decals on it. And then the traditional KD stuff, both the couplers, which in this case for the HON3 turn out to be a rust color. That is one of the other ones that needs to be painted, and the trucks. These are HON3, and there are two different kits that Tichy makes. One is just the truck itself, and then there's a kit to build the truck. It's kind of hard to explain, except the difference is the one to build the truck actually has the side frame springs that need to be assembled with it. I did not use that, but I did use another piece out of that, which were the cross frames that tie to the bolster, and I'll talk about that a little bit further too. Now we get into the stain. Use some CA, that's handy to work with. A lot of white glue, and then I use acrylics for most of the painting that I do on the thing. So that's what those three guys are. Yes, Larry?
The one on the left, is that a stain, did you say?
That's a wood stain. And it's a, if I do batch things, I'll pour it in and do a batch at the time. I think if we went back, right to there, you can see on the left-hand side, that's one of the materials that has the wood. That whole set of stains had been wood. Ones in the middle had not. Okay, whoops, let me go. Where are we here? Excuse me, got a little bit ahead of myself. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some of the actual construction of the thing. One of the things, in this case, I've got a slot in here for the roof, but that's in work. It's on my workbench right now. I build a lot of jigs. Anytime I do something, build more than two of a kind, I'll build a jig, typically out of styrene. The jig, by the way, is here on the table. This is the frame with the main pieces down in the center, and then a jig for the side panels. On the right-hand side, this a little bit hard to see, but this is all individual pieces. The one in the lower right in the right picture has about it's about 40 some pieces of individual pieces of wood. That one is actually, after I had finished it, I'd done the decaling in that second panel for the statistics on it. The one on the left is the one that's under assembly. These, by the way, are 3 layers. You have the layer that's laying down on the bottom, the cross braces that are in the middle, and then there's another layer on the top. And you can see this in detail on when I show you the picture of the car, which I'll pick up here in a little bit as well. This is initial one of the door. Again, a little bit hard to see, but there are 3 layers in this one. The vertical pieces of the door, the side frame things, and then the ones on top. In the picture on the right, this is with the decals. And as a sideline, because I'm working on wood, and decals don't really like to go down on wood very well. So what I do is I typically spray this with a clear coat a couple of times and get a nice, not real good shiny finish on it, but enough so that the decals will set down very well. Then once I get them, go on ahead and get them down, then go on ahead and put a coat of dust on top of that. Glaze, salt, whatever, not weathering so much. Get a kind of an idea of the scale of that from the divisions on that workbench. Those are 1-inch divisions. So small, these are small. And you'll notice there is a right and left door here. Okay, this is what happens when you start putting the things together. The bottom of the picture shows the right side with the 2 side panels, the right door, and the top bar on it. The top part is just the assembled pieces that are just laying there. That's the left side. This then is the final assembly of both the left and the right. It's a little bit hard to see, but the bottom one does have what am I trying to say? The statistics are down in the 3rd panel in, the one next to the door. On the right one, they are in the 2nd panel in. Okay, now I'm going to jump to the next piece. This is the floor. I showed you earlier or later. No, I'm coming up to that. Had to make an adjustment for the floor. If you notice, there's a jog about where the doors are, and really looking at the picture very closely, it turns out that the doors actually sit on top of the wood. It's a little bit hard to see because I don't have one that I can blow up on here, but I had to take out those middle panels and put in the other one. This also has the end sills already on there, along with the side panel, the side frame, the edges of the frame. Okay, so now I'm going to jump to the bottom of the system. This is the initial assembly on that jig. In this case, now I've got, in addition to the 2 center pieces, I've got the 2 side panels on. Those also have decals on them with a number decal on it, and then it has the end sills are on. The end sills also have been pre-drilled for nut bolt washer detail, which have been mounted in. On the right hand, on the left side, that's just showing the initial assembly of the K-system brake. On the right side, you see the K-system brake got the train line is in there, and most of the not all, but most of the levers are in there as well. The bolsters are not in these pictures. This is a little bit more development. Now I've added the rib for the queen post. The ribs, the queen posts have been added. The actual truss rods have been added in. And the truss rods tie into where the nut bolt washers are on the end sills. And the painted one, sorry about that, can't see that because as Rich Murphy and I talked about, this is kind of an oily looking picture. If you happen to see the model that's here on the table, look at it in a little bit more detail on that. Should have brought a magnifying glass and I didn't. Okay, this is about the only thing I've got on the roof. In the prototype, the roof has edges that are very obvious. And the piece of roof stock that I had did not have it cut out to that. It actually went all the way to the end. So my idea was, oh, I'll try that. And later on, I discovered this is HO and not HON3, and that's about a difference of 3/8 inch width. Makes it interesting. So this is only a sample of that. Turns out I'm going to use plates for the roof. And those are, again, I don't have pictures of those. Okay, now guess what? There's more detail to come. This is some of the things that I've got detail on and just want to talk about. Brake shoes quite a bit, grab irons, steps, the lift bar, and actually lift bar and brake end are inverted because it turns out that the lift bar is on the outside of where the brake staff is, so I'll have to add that as last. So I noticed that last night when I was rerunning this thing in the order, I need to reverse these two and the steps that are going on in it. Well, what I'm going to talk about in detail is just some of the little details that go on. First part is the brake shoes. And if you remember, this is the picture that I had early on. Now I'm going to try and see whether or not I can come over. Okay, I can't seem to get a cursor up and running, but if you look down at this is the car at Silverton. The brake shoes are on the wheels and there's a crossbar on that. I had fabricated the same kind of a thing on the gondola car and decided I'd go on ahead and try it on this one as well. Excuse me. Short break.
Woodford Reserve time.
Nah, I had to get a drink of water. I'm fighting off I'm a latter stages of clearing out a bronchitis thing, and the stupid cough hangs on, and it's a bear. I don't remember if I'd like to come back to this picture again, so I might jump on it again. The whole idea on this one was to show the brake shoes, and we'll get to some of the other detail later. Okay. What I did with the brake shoes is I do this in about 40,000 styrene, which fits very nicely to the tread on the brake shoe. And in order to do styrene, if you notice, if you try and drill styrene with a normal drill, because it has a taper on it with flutes, it'll take that styrene out and rip it apart. So you have to build a sandwich. So on the left side, there is a sandwich of a couple of pieces of fairly thin wood with the styrene in between it. You can just barely see the white in the upper right corner of the left picture where the styrene ends. On the right side, that's what it looks like after you get through drilling it. And these are drilled to the diameter of the tread on the HON3 wheel. Then started off with the brake shoes. In the left one, you can see, and I try and get about anywhere from 4 or 5 brake shoes per one, and I cut a bunch of them out and work on it. What that looks like over on the right is down there just under that one bar, there are a couple of brake shoes, and that 1, 2, 3, 4 panel over, the second one up, that's a pair of the brake shoes. These are ones I do on styrene with a styrene rod for the hanger thing. Then The idea is then to go on ahead and get them tied to the truck itself. So what this is, and I should have done this, the one on the right is actually the one that should be on the left, but some days you get busy and do it differently. That is titchy wire with little notches on it over the axle, and then CA down to the cross frame to hold it. The reason it got the little humps in there are so that it doesn't drag the axles. The picture on the left is the top view, which I haven't cut the ends of the wiring off yet, but that's the full brake shoe mounting piece that's in that. This is a kind of a trial of that truck mounted, and this is one of the few times you'll see the bolster. You see it right under the outside piece of where the springs are on the truck. Just below that, you can see the edge of the bolster right on the edge of the frame. And then on the right, there it is painting. Again, sorry, I didn't do this blow up far enough so you could see it real well, but that's pretty much all of the detail on it. Okay, now I'm going to talk about, here we are, we're back to the same picture again. Grab irons. Something I noticed, again, a couple of nights ago, I was digging down through it. This is kind of peculiar. There isn't a grab iron. This is the current condition of the car. There isn't a grab iron on the bottom of those, of the right-hand side, of the side, that left side. There are only 4 steps on that. 2 below well, let me see, call it the top 3 cross braces, and 2 up on the top. And that's matched over in the right-hand side on the end. There are two on the bottom and 2 up at the top where the number plates are. That there is no step down where the lift bar is. I don't know how the guys had managed to do that, but it's kind of strange. I just happened to notice that. I've got another oddball thing that showed up later. Anyway, the whole idea of this is what the locations are of the grab irons and how to do them. This is a picture of the grab irons on the side. Now, notice that there are 5 grab irons on this, not 4. When I looked at the pictures, at the Arbolus picture of the original thing, that 5th grab iron down at the bottom was there. But when I looked at the one right here, that grab iron is missing above the step, right on the side. Anyway, so mine are actually done to the picture rather than on this one. Does that make any sense? I took this last grab iron off, so there are only 4 on the sides on each end. On the end, let me see, it would be the end nearest where the brake staff is. There are 2 on the other end. Oh, excuse me, another water break. In the end of this car, all of the planking is laid up on the thing. So I built a jig. This is the jig. The vertical pieces on there are just laying in there for size. There are a number that run across that. There are a number of vertical and diagonal pieces that go across that, which I'll show you later on. But the whole part of this was to develop the jig for the grab irons. In the right-hand picture, you can see the sides and that plate thing. I mentioned earlier that there are 6 layers of wood on each side of this. That the number plate actually goes over that. Now I'm going to jump back a minute. Whoops, come back here. If you look on this one, right at the edge of the car where the number plate is on the end, that actually overlaps on the end. And that it does it on both sides. So it's kind of, it's another one of the little detail things that you pick up on the number. Anyway, drilling a jig, making the jig. Now, this is, I happened to find through RMC, no, online, the Railroad Craftsman, Railroad Model.
Railroad, you're talking about hobbyists, the online?
Hobbyist, okay, Railroad Model Hobbyist. Happened to make a comment about a really neat little jig and a really neat little drill press, and I managed to capture one and here, probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and started playing with it. Here I go on trivia again. That particular one does real good, except for one problem. That chuck will only take down to a number 77 drill. It will not take an 80 drill. 79, 78 and 79 and 80s drop out. So I have to drill, the smallest drill I can put in there is a number 77. This, and anyway, the reason that jig is set in so that it will set over the end, and I'll show you that in the next one. In the right-hand picture, you can see the four, 1, 2, 3, you can see 5 holes in there, and the 2. That is spaced on it. I think I show you on, no. Yep. Anyway, this is the jig on the side of the car as a fit check to see where it is. And then on the right-hand side, those are the, that actually has the vertical and the diagonal members in for the bracing on it. There is a vertical member for the grab irons, and then there are the 2 panels, and then on the right hand, just a bracing on it. This is a trial fit of the Tichy grab irons on the left, which stick through. I have taken the sides off the box that I build this on, and just set them in. On the right-hand side, that's the grab iron set in, according to that picture, with the number plate, which you notice is way out on the side. That's one of the challenges of building a jig, so you can get the holes set up for the grab irons to line up with that and set on. And this one actually shows the grab iron on the right-hand side. If I go back, just to bear with me, this shows where those grab irons are. The two below the number plate, the 2 on the number plate, and the 1 on the right-hand side. On the other end of the car, that one on the right there is a grab iron on the side of one grab iron on the side of the car like that. Okay. This is a preliminary assemble. I put all the stuff together on it, put it on a piece of the track that Randy had gotten with me, gotten for me, had donated to me. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate that. This does not have the roof on it. Just as a sideline, that white bar on the top is the bar for the center of the roof. There is a slope on that, and I'll work with that. The blank piece is where the roof's going to go. Okay, now we're going to switch to another detail. These are the steps. I've got the Tichy steps, but I don't like them. They're plastic, and they break very easily, and they're also hard to work with. So I manufacture them. This is out of about 10 thousandths brass. The vertical strip was a preliminary strip, just trying to make sure that they were width. So I cut another one. It's about 2/3 that width, and then I fabricate the step. Bend it down at the bottom, and then bend them on each side. On the right-hand side, you see one of the steps mounted to the, in this case, I think this is the B end of the car with the end sill on it. You can just see where the step is actually mounted. Okay, now we're into the stuff that I ain't got to yet, so I've got spaces for it in here. and the brake staff and the final steps. Okay, now, so what I'm now telling you about is what I told you about, what I did, and that. So with that, are there any questions?